Hello, my name is Grace Egwongo, and I am the occupational therapist for Frank. Frank is an 80-year-old male that was referred to occupational therapy services following a recent stroke, increased risk for falls, as well as functional decline in self-care, and also a decline in activities of instrumental activities of daily living, in particular managing his own medication. So Frank was assessed on June the 10th, 2024, and a total of 8 assessments were administered. The first one was the goniometry to test for his range of motion, and his range of motion for the upper body extremities, and both lower extremities are within functional limits. Also tested was his strength, and his strength for bilateral upper extremities and lower extremities has got mild decrease as indicated by the manual muscle testing, and he scored a 4 out of 5 and a 4- out of 5 respectively. Tested was his muscle tone with the modified Ashworth scale, and that reflected that his elbow flexors have got moderate hypertonicity, his wrist flexors have mild hypertonicity, digit flexors no hypertonicity, thumb flexors mild hypertonicity with an increased rigidity at end ranges. His endurance was also tested using the Borg rating of perceived exertion. He scored a 7 out of 20 on a scale of 6 to 20, which indicates that his endurance is very poor. He is also only able to tolerate activities for 2 to 3 minutes. His balance was also tested using the tag, and it was discovered that his balance is impaired, and that has contributed to his high risk of falling. Also tested was his cognition using the MOCA and the SLAMS test. For the MOCA test, he scored a 24 out of 60, and the SLAMS he scored a 13 out of 27. Both indicate mild impairment with cognition, which is consistent with his diagnosis for Lewy body dementia. Following interviewing Frank and also interviewing his son, his occupational performance issues are him being unable to perform lower body dressing. He is needing assistance with bathing. He requires assistance to cut up his food. He also is unable to safely ambulate and perform functional transfers without falling. He's unable to manage his own medication. The limiting factors that have contributed to all these occupational performance issues are decrease in fine motor coordination, activity tolerance, bilateral hand strength. His dynamic standing balance is impaired, and also his memory and executive skills are impaired. All those factors have contributed to his occupational performance issues. So knowing that, knowing the performance issues and also the limiting factors, we're able to come up with long-term goals and short-term goals for Frank. So the long-term goals for Frank will be that client will complete lower body dressing using compensatory strategies and supervision within 8 weeks. Client will demonstrate ability to safely complete bathing, utilizing energy conservation strategies and with supervision within 8 weeks. Client will perform self-feeding with modified independence, utilizing weighted utensils and a plate guard within 4 weeks. Client will demonstrate ability to perform functional ambulation with rolling walker up to 100 feet while maintaining a G+ standing balance with modified independence within 8 weeks. Client will utilize a weekly pill organizer and demonstrate ability to safely manage medication with setup within 10 weeks. His short-term goals, there are 5 short-term goals for Frank, and those are: client will exhibit improved fine motor coordination to within functional limits by utilizing bilateral half-inch pound wrist weights to reduce hand tremors in order to manipulate buttons and zippers during lower body dressing with contact guard within 2 weeks. Patient will improve activity tolerance while performing an activity of choice without signs of fatigue and exertion from 2 minutes to 10 minutes in order to complete bathing with contact guard within 2 weeks. Patient will improve fine motor dexterity needed to sustain grasping weighted feeding utensils in order to be able to cut up food and decrease spillage during feeding, and self-feeding with setup by increasing dynamometer strength by 1 pound within 2 weeks. Client will improve dynamic standing balance from poor to fair minus to decrease falls during functional mobility, utilizing a rolling walker within his environment within 2 weeks. Client will utilize compensatory techniques to improve memory and executive functions from mild to mean impairment in order to self-manage medication within 4 weeks. It is therefore expected that after occupational therapy sessions and treatments that following discharge from OT services, Frank is expected to return to his prior level of function, utilizing adaptive equipment and learned compensatory strategies for energy conservation and with fall safety awareness in order to prevent falls in the future. Frank will be able to live in a least restricted environment with a caregiver supervision. Thank you.